My name is Trenna Keating, and I'm playing the Doctor in the TV series Defiance. It's on Syfy and Showcase in Canada. Well, yes, Doc Yewll is definitely one of the outsiders because in Defiance there's aliens and humans living together. So she's come to this town and she's this race, Indogene, and there's very few of the Indogenes in Defiance. So she's definitely a little bit of a misfit, and she certainly doesn't think the way humans think. She is very scientific and mathematical, and everything is about her work and figuring things out. So she has, I guess you could say, a sort of poor bedside manner. She doesn't really care about human emotions, so that does sort of set her apart from the rest of the community. Whether she's a good or bad guy, that sort of remains to be seen, and that was a question of mine when I started. I kept getting the scripts and thinking, well, I don't know, I mean, I can't play bad guy because I don't know if I am, and that's also one of the fantastic things about sci-fi, is that you might be the good guy today and you might be the bad guy tomorrow. Well, I had never done any prosthetic work before, so it was completely new to me. And so when you get a prosthetic role, the first thing they do is bring you in and they cast your head, which was completely terrifying for me. And I actually reached out for the prosthetic guy at one point and I thought, okay, I quit, I'm not gonna be able to do this job. But he calmed me down and I made it through that point. So that was the worst. But yeah, it takes about 2 to 3 hours to get into the prosthetic every day. And it's all one piece, so it slips on over the head. And then they stick paintbrushes through the mouth and through the eyes and the ears, and they glue it into place. And then they airbrush it, and then they paint it, painting the lips and the eyes and inside the nose, inside the ears, black. So I've got black coming out of every part of me for days after. And then it takes about half an hour at the end of the night to get out of it. They cut me out of it and throw away the mask and start all over the next day.
And start all over again?
Absolutely, yeah. Wow. So it's it takes a lot of people to make Doc Yewll. Sort of the same when I got cast in this. I was a big fan of Firefly, but other than that, I hadn't really been in the world of sci-fi. So this was beyond my wildest dreams. Never in a million years would I have thought that I would be on a show like this, playing an alien. But it's been sort of a wonderful thing getting into sci-fi now, and I feel like I've missed out all these years. And I've started watching a lot of the shows that, like we talked about earlier, that came out 11 years ago, and now I'm watching them. You know what? It's I do, and I kind of didn't know that about myself. But yeah, both Combat Hospital and, to be honest, I hadn't really thought of the correlation between the two. But yeah, I do, and I like any show that has the jargon, like the war talk or so this isn't actually that far from it. And you do sort of feel like in Defiance that you're living in this town that is dedicated to survival, because there has been a war and we are all what's left behind, and we've had to come together and sort of, in some ways, set aside our differences and try to build a community. And as you know, that presents a lot of challenges. Yes, that's where, because I'll be honest with you, I'm not hugely adventurous. Yes, I do like hiking, I do like camping, I do like those kind of things, but I'm not the kind of person who ever wants to skydive or bungee jump. Like, I do not have that sense of adventure in me, and stunt doubles, I always think, what on earth makes you want to have that profession? So I'm not very adventurous in that way. So I think that is kind of why I love action and love these kind of shows, because I get to be a little bit more adventurous in television than I actually am in real life. And I get to seem like I'm really brave and strong and all those wonderful things that I like to think I am, but I sort of tiptoe into things more often, whereas Doc Yewll definitely just does it. Absolutely. I mean, I started out in theater. I did my degree in theater, and for many, many years, that's all I did, and that's definitely my background. And I have stepped away from it the last few years because I've been doing this more, but I do love it, absolutely. And yes, I love writing for the theater, and I am pretty determined that I will see my plays produced at some point in my life. My one piece of advice to young people would be that don't be your own worst enemy, because I think that's the biggest challenge for young actors, is that they judge themselves and they're hard on themselves, and there's a certain level of vulnerability that you have to be an actor, mm-hmm. and you have to figure out how to also make that into your strength. So just be your own best friend, and yeah, you'll be okay.